We're going to be finishing up Alfine. I really don't even know what to say. Last night was such a ride, and I can guarantee that it's probably going to continue. This game is known for its final two rounds. Oh, okay. This game is known for its final two routes, and we are now reaching the first of two. So we'll see how much it is going to be offering us, but obviously now we saw from last night things are already not as they seem, and the perspective switch I've seen in this is one of the best I've ever seen in VN. So for those of you guys that are wondering, this was the credit song for the Torta route. This is for Ino. It's a peaceful melody, but at the same time, like, the lyrics are super sad. It's a long song. Dang, she's actually sitting here crying on her character sprite. Time and people all pass anyway. Wow, that song was a ride. I think out of all the songs that we've heard, that might actually be the most depressing one, and like I could see that by a large margin. Ah, that's probably very foreboding of how tonight's gonna go. Something that I appreciate is the fact that like the notes at the start are this. Like it's the noise of the menu. I don't know if you guys realize that, but that's kind of a cool little touch. I don't know why that is, but ah man. Okay, had to drink some water already. We're in for a ride. I would persuade her to do it, and then I would leave this place. I didn't want to see her face again if I didn't have to. Of course, she's talking about Falsita here. Chris suddenly invited me to practice that day. Can we practice together today? Really? I asked in surprise. Many things happened last week. Because of that, I had honestly lost my self-confidence. Just really what was best for him. That's all I thought about. But if he was inviting me like that, maybe I could have a little hope. Really? I mean, I'm the one who's asking you. Oh, right, yeah, if you want to, I guess. That's cool. Please, well, if you can. Yeah, let's go. So, what song do you want to do? Chris asked this the moment we arrived in the practice room. How about the song I saw before? It looks like you practiced it a lot. You thought about the vocals when you wrote it, right? That's true, but... He said this awkwardly. Haven't you written a song also? I wrote one, but I was only thinking about vocals. Well, how about that? Let me see the sheet music if you have it. I guess I don't mind showing you. What good would it do, listening to a song I wrote to sing solo? Chris's song was written well better than mine, and more than anything else, it was written to be alongside a vocal. Despite those thoughts, I still ended up handing him my sheet music. Maybe Chris had his own ideas. Then he spoke after gazing for the pages. This is a good song. Really? Well, thank you. I was genuinely happy at the compliment he gave. I was confident in it, but that may have been the first time I had been complimented to my face. If I arranged the piano parts, I could actually probably play them on my fortelli. Are you okay with doing that? Well, I'm not too bad at sight reading. Yeah, you always have been able to sight read any song super well. Exactly. Well, the truth is, I have a song, but I don't like it very much, so if we pair up, I was hoping we could use yours. I didn't really know the reason behind those words. I liked his song, but I also felt like he put an incredible amount of effort into writing it. The melody itself was very much like him, and it really suited the sound of his fortelli. Also, I haven't decided whether I'll definitely partner with you, so I was just thinking it'd be best if you would practice your song. He continued as if to make doubly sure. If he was that concerned, then I would have to be the one to give in. Also, Chris's remark that he hadn't totally decided to partner up with me made me do it. If he didn't want me as a partner, why was he asking? Alright, if you really think so, then there's no reason to refuse. Cool, well thank you. And then we both went unnaturally silent. I forced out a cheerful voice to dispel awkwardness. What he had said earlier worried me, so I felt like teasing him. But I only have one copy of the sheet music. Well, I only have one copy of mine too. Can we just copy it real quick? Well, I am better at it than you. Nah, no problem, I'll do it. Besides, it's not like I expected you to do it in the first place. Thanks, that's a big help. What else could I do? So, what about your song? Will you play it with other people? No, I won't play that song. I don't like it very much. I see. Well, I guess that's fine. I do that. It didn't seem like I can get any more out of him at the moment. Huh? Nothing. So the problem now is today's practice. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just sing from behind. Behind me? Behind you. Couldn't you just stand next to me? I couldn't see then, could I? Right behind me? Yes, right behind you. That's a little... Can you just sing it without your sheet music? What? I wonder... Yeah, no, I don't think I could practice without it. We could actually be alone. I was sure he'd forgive a small lie like that. It was really small compared to the lies that I was always telling him. No, just be patient while I copy your music. You're not making it easy, though. So, can you play without the sheet music, then? No, that's too much. If I'm gonna memorize it, I at least need like a full week. Right, so don't start the small stuff. Just start. But, could it be like you don't like people being behind you? I got the feeling that this was the case, but I still wanted to tease him all the same. Well, he was trying to acknowledge it, so I added one more thing. You know, you're like a child. I'm not a kid. So it's fine then, right? Yeah. This was what made Chris so innocent and cute. Did he want to switch or not? It wasn't clear, but anyway I decided to ignore the fact that Chris was a child. No matter how much we insisted that we were adults, we were still children in the eyes of society. Okay, let's try and get our music in sync. Can you really not sing it without looking? Of course. I placed my hand on Chris's shoulder and looked past him with the sheet music. I didn't need to look at it, but it made me happy to be near Chris like that. Hey, begin. It won't do any good for me to start by myself, will it? We need to face each other and get to the timing first. We could do it without that. If you just start, I'll join in. Singing along to Chris's fortelli was an everyday occurrence. Although that was 3 years ago that we did that. Just today, okay? That's what I said. Just go ahead. Alright. We did pretty well in the end. Yeah, that was way better than I thought. Our ensemble finished, both of us caught our breath. We hadn't played together in several years, so I was filled with nostalgia. Realizing that fact honestly made me a little sad. How did you think it went? That's why I spoke in the cheerful voice, so I could be my normal self. Not like that, I mean, I thought, I meant that my arrangement was a lot better than what I thought it would be. So you're patting yourself on the back. But it was pretty good though, wasn't it? Maybe. Thanks. Maybe we should stick with this song then. Got it. Let's practice some more. Right, we still have a lot of time. Okay, once more from the beginning. We had a rather happy practice day after that. Today was my third practice with Chris. You could say all my days off were dedicated to practice. It simply made me happy, but thinking that I wouldn't be able to see Chris's back anymore made me sad. Alright, let's start today's practice. You're kidding, right? Right? If I'm not, I'll be mad. Ah, don't worry, I brought it this time. Good. He ran his hand down his chest with a deep sense of relief. Did he hate it that much? He should have just said something if that was the case. I could have copied it by the next day. Alright, let's begin. You're doing this on purpose. You are, aren't you? Of course I am. But I kind of got used to doing it this way. You're used to it too now, right? I am, but then it's good. No, it's not good. It's really no good? I made up my eyes tear imploringly. Oh, that's messed up. I really did feel sad, so I think I was 10% telling the truth. Yeah. It's definitely no good. I said this in a whisper, just like Eric. Oh, Jesus. No, not definitely. So can we? No, not that. So we can't. I mean, it's not bad, but... Alright, you win. Don't make that face. Then he gave in. Yeah, as long as I can stand behind you. Why do you turn things around so quickly to suit you? Because you said it was okay. I mean, I did say that. Boys are so weak about that kind of thing. Whenever Ari made that face to you, just always nodded. Well, I'm sure Ari doesn't think that. Maybe. You never know. Well, I trust Ari. Don't trust her so much that you get hurt later. So shall we start? Yeah. And then I look at Chris's back and sing again. When had it started? Me passing the time only by looking at him from behind. I knew that since Ari hadn't attended the school seriously, she always watched Chris like that. But I was really the only one who was watching Chris's back. On holidays, I would watch them leave together from the window, feeling truly... Wait, what? No, she's been in an accident. Ari would always come from behind and Chris would turn around in the end. Chris was next to me and he always faced away, continuing to show me his back. And I always just looked at that back. Even that was nostalgic. I mean, when Chris turned around, I was the only one there. What did she mean by this? How would you like to practice together today? What? He invited me to practice with slight hesitation. After our last practice, I thought things had gotten kind of awkward. His reply was so blunt that I knew what he was thinking. I didn't mind if he was doing it for my sister, but at the very least, I wanted him to stop showing that to me. I would have been able to be allowed it if he had written it in a letter. I was able to be a little bit normal with him in the cafeteria, but as we practiced together, I also had to steel myself. You told me to invite you anytime. That's not what I meant. Huh? What did you mean? No, I'm not like trying to force you. Listen, that's not what I meant. So what did you mean? Why are you inviting me? Because I'm looking for a partner. So you're telling me I'm a candidate? Well, yeah. Do you really want me to be your partner? If I didn't want you, I wouldn't have asked. At all. At all. Do you not like the certainty? No. So will you answer a question? Who are you partnering with? He was listening to me silently, but I knew the reason. Arietta said something? She did, but that's not why. So would you partner up with whatever and whoever Ari said? I don't think so. Fine, let's practice. He followed me apologetically as I stood from the chair. But there really wasn't any reason for him to apologize. Did Ari say something to you? No, of course not. I made it look like Arietta said that. I would manipulate his feelings, and now I was getting irritated by my own self. Torda? He was following me as I hurried along, but I couldn't turn around and apologize. I couldn't admit to him. My feelings of regret towards Chris and my irritations at myself for being the way I was would not let me. So I continued talking with my back to him. You said you wanted to practice. That's true, but you know what I mean, don't you? Then I stopped. I know. I really did. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But you don't understand. I'm not saying I don't want to partner with you. Then I told another lie. I created a new lie so the old one wouldn't be discovered. The truth mixed in, it still didn't help me. I was just thinking that if you were going to practice with me right after Arietta said something, I would have liked it if you'd have just chosen me earlier. Then, what do you want me to do? Wait, do you not understand what I just said? I'm in the wrong here. I got mad at myself for my own reasons, so you can just forget about it. Which was even true anymore. I couldn't even know how I truly felt. Was this a kind lie, or was I truly feeling? Sorta. Getting it all off my chest made me feel better. Let's just practice. And now that was definitely a lie. I wasn't saying anything to him. I told lie after lie, and it was hard. It was like I had even forgotten to tell the truth. Alright. We made up temporarily in the deserted hallway. As we pulled ourselves together and walked towards the practice room, he stopped and looked behind me. You two are pretty funny. Cordell? Huh? Oh. It was tough to figure out when I would show myself. So you were listening. I heard you, to be more specific. Had she heard everything? Well, we're just gonna practice, so just excuse us. Yeah. Do you have a minute before that? She stopped us and we tried to stop to scurry off. What is it? You've been practicing a lot with Tornanita. How did you know? That doesn't matter. Why? Because I had told Cordell about it. I was worried about Chris, so I had a very long talk with Miss Cordell without his knowledge. The partner that Miss Cordell had chosen to introduce to Chris as a last resort was none other than me, but I wanted to hide that until the end. If Chris chose somebody else, that couldn't be helped, but there was no reason to think about it at that moment. It seemed like Miss Cordell wasn't planning on telling him, for another reason. Anyway, how about you show me your practice? You mean now? But it's not for Asano's lesson. He just asked if he could take today's off, so I'm free now and came looking for you. Asano did. So, we're good? You're together with Tornita. Just let me hear your practice. Our performance? I don't think I want to hear anything else. Right. He looked over at me. Had he decided what to do? If so, yeah, that's cool. I was gonna give my answer, but Chris blurted this out before I had the chance. It's alright? Yeah, I don't mind. Okay, so... Oh, they're gonna have a chat! Miss Cordell and Torta have a chat. I'm interested to see what actually is all said. There was no hesitation in the voice. What made him say that? Now then, begin. I got ready and faced Chris. I nodded silently, giving the sign I was ready whenever he was. Alright, here we go. Yeah. Quite good. She looked up at us and said this in the usual tone. It took me a while to get used to it, but that seemed it was her highest form of praise. She heard me sing many times, but she never said it to me before. But listening to Chris's forte and singing over it, even I knew why. That music was worthy of praise. I knew that patting yourself on the back isn't good, but it's equally not good to be able to not judge yourself properly. If there was no one like Miss Cordell to compliment him, I thought I could do so with confidence. Thank you very much. You've worked very hard in a short amount of time. Thank you as well. I bowed deeply to her and thanked her again. I had practiced the song Chris wrote after receiving it in secret from her. Unfortunately, we ended up just using my song, but I couldn't thank her enough for helping me like she had said. In a short time. I said it before, didn't I? You grasped what you needed to do. Regardless, I'm relieved. Just keep practicing like that. You're still far from perfect, but just keep practicing. We know. So we'll go back now. Right. I guess I could go look for other students. Are you bored? I'm bored enough as students of mine to watch practice. She said this and smiled. Okay, shall we continue? Right. Chris said this with gusto, unlike how he had been earlier this morning. He looked like he'd gotten over something. It was from me. Unfortunately, I couldn't say that, but I knew that Chris was dedicating himself seriously to practice now. Then I looked away. I regretted writing it in the letter, and I hated myself because I'd write the same thing again. We practiced in Chris's apartment today. We agreed to after lunch, but I left my house early. Chris knew my personality, so I was sure he wouldn't mind. If he was still asleep, I just might be able to see him after he wakes up. I thought that would be fun, just to make myself scold him. That was my duty. Hey, Chris, are you here? It was noon on Sunday. Was he still sleeping? Even though we had the chance to practice together. With those thoughts, I knocked. I tried the knob and it was unexpectedly unlocked and opened right away. Excuse me? As soon as I entered the room, I heard water running from the shower. He must be taking one. I thought he should have woken up earlier. When I checked the clock, I saw it was exactly noon. We did agree on the afternoon. It was just semantics, but even a minute after 12 would be fine. That being said, I couldn't go in the shower and force him out, so I had to kill time. I felt embarrassed imagining seeing Chris half naked, so I walked into the room and gazed out the window. As I was doing so, I heard the shower door open and sensed him wrapping a towel around himself. I made sure enough time had passed and I turned around. Oh, good morning. How did you... You left the door unlocked for me? That's really dangerous. Well, it's lucky I just forgot to lock it. I'm glad you didn't have to wait in the cold. Really lucky. But aren't you early? It's afternoon, isn't it? I'll ask just in case. What time did you get here? 12:01. Wouldn't you just say exactly 12? No. Yes, you would. I wouldn't say it. Right. Okay, let's practice. I just woke up. You took a shower. You're probably awake by now. Ah, fine. Did you eat lunch? No, not really. You don't eat breakfast, though. Not really. So what do you want to do? I'd be fine until the evening if I had to be. Then should I make something? Really? It'd be easier for me than just practicing right away, though I can only make simple stuff, though. Yay. Okay, sit down and wait. Yes, sir. I sat in a chair and passed time elegantly. Was this the first time that Chris had made something for me? I had come here as Arietta on Christmas, but I wasn't me. It may have been the first time that was for me. It made me strangely happy, and I spent the time watching Chris from behind. I knew that he would definitely turn to see me at some point. It was incredibly happy. After a while, I heard a voice from the kitchen. It's ready. Can you help me carry it to the table? Yeah, I'm coming. I hurried to the kitchen and brought cups and plates to the table. Oh, that looks good. And there's the chocolate spread. The chocolate spread for the rusk was in a pretty bottle. A fair amount had been used, so he may not have gotten it for me. You always said you liked it, so I bought some. I like it as well, though. I see, that's good. But I was a little glad. Go ahead. Yeah, don't mind if I do. It wasn't a bad breakfast. The espresso with the lots of milk was tasty and it went well with the chocolate-covered rusk. I was rather happy. It was a rather happy time before our practice together. We practiced until the evening, and it became the time for the letter for Chris to arrive. When I told Chris that, he went to get it. I'm back. Was that the letter there? Yeah. He came into the room and put the letter in the drawer without opening it. Aren't you going to read it? Yeah, I'm going to. Then why'd you put it away? Because I'll read it later. You can just read it now. I kind of got the feeling that I wanted to see Chris's face when he read the letter. Did he smile? Did he just think the letter was a letter? Did he read it calmly? Regardless, reading what I did in Chris's letters, I could at least be sure it wasn't the letter. What? I usually don't read letters in front of people. It's okay, I won't look. I would only look at his face. Then why are you trying to make me read it? I was just thinking you should read it quickly. There's plenty of time before tomorrow morning. That being said, is there something else to this? That was very astute for him. But if I was interested as Torta, there was nothing to hide. If he's expected me that much, he'd never have read it in front of me. No. I was just wondering what kind of face you make when you read her letters. There's no particular face, it's just a normal face. So that's all. That's all. Unsatisfied with his innocuous answer, I tried opening up the drawer. So this was the drawer I'd heard about. It was full of letters from me, different from the promise Chris and Arietta had made. Don't do that. Oh, it's fine. I'm not doing any harm to the drawer. I said this and I took a letter out. There's all letters. I pretended I didn't know and checked inside. He really was keeping them methodically. I wouldn't speak badly of others, but as a boy's drawer, it wasn't very interesting. Yeah, just don't look. I can't? You get letters from Arietta too, don't you? Well, yeah. I'm sure these are no different. She just writes what's happened recently, you know, how she's doing. But you keep them so meticulous. Well, I just wanted to see you smile. I don't smile. Regardless, I'll read the letter and I'll write the reply after you leave. Just don't worry. So there's no hope. What do you want to do now? Do you want to get something to eat? Yeah, that would be fine. You could also make something. Are you as bad as cooking as always? I just don't think it's for me. Arietta's good at it. Why don't you try practicing? I have been. I had already been practicing with my grandma for 3 years. But I could only show him how good I was when I saw Chris's Arietta. Oh, so do you want to try cooking? You're teasing me now. I didn't mean to. What does it mean if you heard it like that? I don't mind. If you say something you really want to eat, my cooking, I'll make something. You'll eat too, though, right? Of course. I'll just ask in case, but you've gotten better since coming here, right? You know, your Nina is very good at cooking. I suppose you could look at it like that. I think... no. That's why you should cook. It was a little hard to use a begging voice like that. Even though I could already make food that would satisfy him, but I hid that and I watched as he walked to the kitchen. Oh, the window is blue. He made pasta for me. I remembered the taste. It was indeed tasty. Isn't it too much garlic? I couldn't say it before, but I could say it now. I guess. It might be more than what you usually get at a restaurant, but isn't this better? It is good. Oh, well that's good then. Even though you're eating with a girl, I don't think you have to worry about that with you. That may be kind of true, but I feel like you're looking down on me. That's definitely not my intention. Of course we weren't close enough to kiss, so there was nothing to worry about. That reminded me. It was the same when I was Ari. I asked nonchalantly. Most things got by if I said it was written in a letter. Ari and I were that close, and Chris knew that well. Well, you did make the same thing when Ari came. She said that in her letter? Luckily, Chris accepted the lie without me even having to explain it. What? Oh, it was? Yeah, sometime last year, I forgot. That means it was nothing special to her then, right? I said I forgot. If that's the case, then fine. Right. She said you didn't even kiss her. Of course, that was a lie. How much did she write? I know you're her little sister, but I wouldn't have said it if you hadn't asked. You deserved it. I'm sure your letters have things that you can't tell me about. No, they don't. Really? Then show me your letters. Listen. I'm kidding. I have an idea of what Arietta would write you. No, you may be twins, but at the same time, you're very different. Even in one letter, the quality's different. So I take it you're making a fool of me. He really was an idiot. Oof. But that was also one of his good points. I'm sure he never imagined that the same person was writing. It was better than being caught, so this may have been perfect. I mean, no, you have your good points too. That sounds like a lie. Listen, it doesn't matter, so let's just hurry and eat. We can talk about everything else later. I'm gonna go home soon. Yeah, I'll walk you. It's fine. Why don't you save that for Arietta? Hey, I'm walking you. Okay. Under the streetlight, I asked Chris when we parted ways. A dangerous question that would break the close atmosphere we had, but I had to ask. Hey, do you plan on making me your partner? What would I do if the answer wasn't the one I wanted? While it was indistinct, the answer had already been decided. I would treat him as kindly as Arietta, and I would and have him graduate like that. If Chris still liked Ari, then they could probably do better than I expected. If Ari didn't regain consciousness, if Chris could handle that, I would just help him. If Chris really did like Arietta, he would hesitate. He would probably think it's not okay to make a decision yet, and that's why I tested him. I do. He wavered for a very short time, and then he answered. That was a bad question. Could you decide here and now? I thought he'd answer that way if I asked him whether or not he'd want to make me his partner. That was his personality, so I chose my word again, and yet again I tested him. I can. That's why I said what I said. Really? Yeah. Well, for who? I just couldn't ask the question I'd been planning to. Chris continued, looking like he understood everything. For myself. Is that wrong? If that was the case, I was fine with it. It is fine. I answered this in a whisper, accepting it. Well, thank you for being my partner. Sure. I just answered that, and I was genuinely happy that my decision about the future was being put off. So let's practice again. We formally became partners yesterday. Of course, registration was after the new year, so we couldn't say it was official. He had consented to my testing words, though. At that moment, we became partners, no matter if it was official or not. Yeah, there's 1 month left. Every day. Well, not really, but we need to practice a lot. Don't be too hard on me. Stop. It's not just about you, it's about me now, too. I know. Really, then let hard practice will be okay. It depends on how hard, but okay. Unexpectedly, he answered with a confident tone. Good then, now let's practice. Our practice that day was substantial. More than anything else, I couldn't see any hesitation in his music. Thanks to practicing 4 times a week, by now we were perfectly synced. We were spending more time together than with anyone else. I'm tired. Me too. He always got tired, but even I was exhausted now. Oh man, this reminds me of when we were kids. That's sudden. It's been a long time since I was this tired, leaving out last time at the house. Hey, I was tired back then too, but no one was listening to us. Saying this, I then leaned on the wall and gazed around the narrow practice room. What are you looking at? I wasn't looking at anything in particular. I just like this air, this atmosphere. It's nostalgic to me. I felt like we were kids again. The air. So much has been happening that I haven't really had the time to think about until recently. I suppose. I don't think I practiced enough to get tired since coming to this school. Of course I practice seriously, but we don't overdo it like when we were kids, right? So I was looking at the ceiling and just thinking it was nostalgic. That reminds me, as kids we used to practice till we dropped. That's right. Before we came to the school, we used to look up at the ceiling and talk about how tired we were. The 3 of us were always together, and there was nothing we didn't know about each other. Ari and I were special even then. We were together almost too much, so much that we couldn't even tell the difference between our own selves. What Ari saw was the same as what I saw. I thought that would never change, no matter how far away we were. But it did change, once Chris chose Arietta over me. With Chris and Ari alone, the things I didn't know increased, and I was left behind. There was only one scene that Chris and I shared. The ceiling. Ari gave up on her singing ability right after she began. She stopped practicing seriously at the music school, but she continued attending. She'd bring bread sometimes. Sometimes she'd come to check on Chris. But Ari never sang until she collapsed and stared at the ceiling with Chris and I. So this was ever so precious and the only one scene that Chris and I had shared together. Why were we able to overdo it back then? I answered while looking at the ceiling. Because it was fun. No, it was because I liked him. I couldn't say that though. I could never bring myself to say that. Even if the time came, it wasn't now. I couldn't even imagine that the day would come where I'd have to tell him that. That's true. I guess it was fun back then. You know, those are rare words from the ever-practice-hating Chris. I don't hate practice, it's just I didn't have a reason to be serious about it. It was also probably that I felt like I was just required to. I asked carefully so it wouldn't sound unnatural. Is there one now, a reason to be serious? There is, and I'm enjoying it. Oh. I desperately held back the urge to cry and instead gazed up at the ceiling. It wasn't me that he said he liked, but I had the feeling that he understood how I was. For some reason, I almost started crying, and I had to keep looking at the ceiling until I finally calmed down. I'm home. Oh, hi, Miss Meyer. Oh, you're early. Everything's ready. Though today all I got with myself were the ingredients and the utensils, so you're going to do everything by scratch. Right. I didn't have one of my daily practices, so I went straight home. I remember that we had talked last week about me doing everything from making the dough to baking it. Thinking about it got me unnaturally motivated. Welcome home. I'm back. I'm going to change real quick. Alright, do your best. Yes, ma'am. Making the bread was more physically taxing than I thought. I had to use my whole body to knead the dough. Even though Miss Meyer didn't make bread every day, she did make it at home regularly, and that's why she was in good shape. Okay, let's begin. Right. She probably wouldn't help me at all. I'd gone over all the details so much that I almost hated it, so it almost been ingrained in me. Since this was my first time not just following instructions, and I looked back at Miss Meyer many times to make sure, she would smile and watch. It took longer than I thought, and while I was killing time in front of the oven, I could barely hear the old women talking. Can I ask for your help? Of course, it's for Torta. Thanks. I know you were looking forward to it. Don't worry. After hearing my name, I was brought back to the present, and I called out. What are you guys talking about? Oh, nothing. That's right, nothing. Huh? In the end, the two ladies wouldn't tell me anything. Just a minute. Sorry to keep you waiting. You're a little early today, I guess. We were practicing in my house today, Christmas Eve. Chris was rarely late at times like these. He always took it easy and slept until the last minute when practice was at his place, but when it was at my house, he was on time, even sometimes early. I'm glad to see you, Chris. Hello. Thank you again for having me today. Long time no see. He said this, or Grandma said this while looking slightly to the side. Couldn't she even sense the direction? Could she even see the direction Chris was in? She seemed fine until the morning. It's been 2 weeks, but every week, it's fine. So, can I hear your practice again today? Oh, yeah. Our performance is still poor, and we only practiced one song, so I don't think it's going to be too interesting. Chris, I'm singing with you, so stop talking so humbly, and why do you always speak so formally when you first get here? Well, let's get to it. We have to practice a lot today to make up for tomorrow. A commendable idea. That means I have to get fired up then too. We started our second practice in front of my grandma. Silence descended on the room. What broke it was her applause. You've gotten so much better. Thank you. It was just one song, but today I felt more tired than usual. It wasn't quite nervousness, but we did feel definitely felt a satisfaction coming from accomplishment. It was true that my grandma wasn't an expert on music, but she did go out to concerts nearly every week. Because of that knowledge and the experience of hearing so much music, she had a slightly more attuned ear than the normal person. So it made me truly happy to receive applause from my grandmother. I wondered if I felt the same when Miss Cordell praised us. Thank you very much, but we cannot be satisfied yet. Oh, that's natural, but wasn't the best performance you can give under the current circumstances? Maybe, but you shouldn't praise Chris too much. He slacks off in practice. Hey, last time was the same, but do you mind if we practice normally? Of course not. I'll do the cooking again today, so I'll excuse myself. Isn't it still early? I got here. I'm making something a little different today. It's going to take a lot of time and effort. It's in the kitchen, right? We'll practice here, so I'm certain you'll hear. Yeah, I heard you well last time, so I will. She went to the kitchen with her normal confident stride. She said her legs hurt on rainy days, but it almost never rained, so it was nothing to worry about. I thought so last time, but I'm glad Nina seems healthy. Her legs seem to have good and bad days. It's mostly good when you visit Chris, so it would be nice if you came by more often. As much as I can. Thanks. Okay, let's continue our practice. Yeah. Stars. We finished up cleaning after the dinner, and the three of us talked with drinks in our hands. She suddenly said something. I have a special present for you two. A present? Could that be what you said you owed me? You know you didn't have to. Even so, it's like a hand-me-down. I can't go so without hoping that I would think you would. She didn't say anything to me. Did you know there's a performance at the concert hall tomorrow? I have 2 tickets. What? But that's the performance that you look forward to every year. It was a concert performed at Christmas by a gathering of the school's alumni. Most of the tickets were given to concerned parties, and I'd heard that almost no regular people attended. Luckily, Grandma was friendly enough with the men selling tickets, so she got them. It was her yearly tradition to go to that concert with Miss Meyer on Christmas. I could just go next year and the year after. You two have never been. This year is your last year. It's just a perfect gift. But we have practice. Listening to good music is a form of practice. Didn't you learn that? Well, you did. It's a group made up of the school's alumni, so listening to them before your graduation recital could never be bad. 2 tickets? I was thinking of going with you, Torta, but now you have a splendid partner. I'd rather you go with him. I shouldn't. Chris. Her voice wasn't especially loud and her tone wasn't stern, but Chris withered at that single word. You will go. It's no use. You know how stubborn she is. Right. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. The concert starts at 3, so if you're going to go to Mass, go early tomorrow. So, can you come early in the morning? I remembered something about those tickets. I'd ask her about it later, but now I had to give up on it. No, for giving up. I was super happy. I suppose. What time? 9. That's early. Even though you're always up that early with Arietta. Something wrong with me? No. So you can. I was just wanting to sleep in this year. Oh, you don't have to dress formally, but I would recommend coming in your uniform. True. Understood. I'll go home soon. I'll have an early start tomorrow. Well, that's fine. Okay, see you tomorrow. Where should we meet? When I was thinking of what time, Grandma spoke up. Why don't you come pick her up? Alright, I'll be here at 9. Will you really come? Well, I don't think I have too much of a choice. Hey, that's not very nice. I'm kidding. I was thinking I'd pick you up anyways. Liar. It doesn't matter. So, tomorrow 9? Yeah. You can't come in normal clothes, though. Yeah. He answered like that and laughed a little as he left. Grandma, after the door was completely closed, I turned to her. Those tickets, Miss Meyer? Yeah. You remembered? So this is what you were talking about. That makes things easier then. Just go and enjoy yourself. I promise it'll be a good experience. But you were looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to you and Chris more. You may feel that way, but Miss Meyer feels the same. She cares about you. She says she looks forward to coming here. It's almost like you're her own granddaughter. But she gladly gave it up for your love life. You can't let that go to waste. Love, that's... You like Chris, don't you? It's okay. I know that much. The issue's about Eri. Well, yeah. She got right to the core. Listen to me. Chris comes by often now, right? Yeah. I'm sure you already know, but that boy, I've seen him getting happier. It's totally different than when you first came here, and I know who to thank. It's not me. It was the illusion of Eri I made inside myself. Chris depended on that. It is you. It's not Arietta. Arietta can't make him happy anymore. But nothing. Think of yourself. Not for Arietta, not for Chris. Think of yourself. Grandma, that wasn't it. I just kept apologizing. I was already lying for my own desire. For Chris, for Arietta. It was all lies. I like Chris and I wanted to be with him. That's why I was his partner. But I couldn't put that into words. My tears just fell out and I felt like I was deceiving my grandma. My tears just would not stop that night. Morning. Looks like you actually woke up, I guess. He stood in the doorway dressed in his usual school uniform. I cried myself to sleep last night, but I took a long bath in the morning so there was no traces of that remaining. Nina already awake? Of course she is. She's up early every day. Oh, I'll go say hi then. He passed by me and greeted my grandmother. Good morning. Thank you. Huh? You saying hi? Because you came to say hi. Yeah, well, thank you for today, for the concert tickets you were looking forward to. It's fine. Just go listen to a lot of good music. Yeah. Maybe Chris was still being polite as he bowed with a slightly gloomy expression. Perhaps I should have been polite as well, but Chris didn't know the truth and he thought that my grandma gave up on going on the concert for him. That being said, I couldn't bring myself to tell him the truth. Chris, we're gonna have to go to church soon. So I spoke to him in a especially cheery voice. That way he wouldn't notice. Yeah, well, we'll be back later. Grandma, it depends on the time, but it's okay if we don't come back before the concert? That's fine. It may be difficult for you to find somewhere to eat, but I don't mind. Yeah. I walked slightly in front of him and hummed the hymn so that I could hear from far away. When I was a first and second year student, they had us sing these in class. I had to meet Chris as Arietta on Christmas, so I didn't participate in the volunteer choir. What? Singing all of a sudden. He caught up with me at some point and asked with this with a curious look on his face. He seemed surprised that I started singing suddenly. Come on, can't you hear it? You could sing it. He didn't learn anything in class, and he asked me this honestly. We learn them. I suppose Fortelli students probably don't. We don't? Well, yeah, we do simple vocals. There are a lot of students from the communal school singing at today's mass. Really? You know that they sing hymns in church all day today, right? It would be impossible for one choir, so they split into about 3 groups so the rest can sing while rest while others sing. So a few people are needed, and our school recruits a certain number every year. There's no pay for that though, right? Of course not. I do hear they get a free meal. You won't do it? Do I look like I would? This is just my opinion, but I asked because you look like you would. Really? Well, I'm pretty busy at Christmas time. Well, then that's your choice to make. I don't really care. Exactly. The cathedral shone like a giant sculpture in the sun. It was beautiful. If you were to name the 2 most famous places in the city, it would be the cathedral and the concert hall. The line to receive the priest's blessing and pray at mass was long, and so we queued up. It's about probably 30 minutes. He said that in a quiet voice. The people around us weren't talking, though. As the sound of the choir got louder, the people around us became quieter. Everyone had come there to pray, so it was probably normal. Man, there are more people than I thought. It's probably be an hour. There's usually half this many. Uh-huh. I answered at once and quickly put on a smile. When Arietta and Chris had come here, I was supposed to have been house-sitting. If he asked for details, all I could do was answer that I read it in a letter from Ari. I couldn't think of how to explain anything else. I hid that under another smile and looked away, pretending to face the front of the line. Chris seemed to stop talking at that and instead was just listening to the hymns inside. After a long time, we entered the chapel where the hymns sounded powerful. It stirred my blood as a voice did, and I just wanted to start singing with them. I held that in and followed the line inside. The line progressed slowly, so I closed my eyes and imagined myself as part of that song. When I opened my eyes, the line had moved forward, and it was almost my turn. Because both of us were in a single line, Chris and I would be blessed together. As the person in front of us stood before us, the priest, we bowed. Bless me. We both said this at the same time and took a step forward. The priest's blessing was over quickly, and we moved to the side of the line. So, after this, we'll stay a little longer. Oh, yeah. I guess you can call it our yearly tradition. We stayed behind in the church to pray. The main reason for praying was to reflect on one's life up to that point. I had told so many lies in my life I didn't even have time to regret them. And I would have to keep telling lies. However, just one more month. I didn't know what would happen after that month. Would the time for Chris and Ari to see each other come? Would it not? What about me? Where would I be? Would I remain? Would I be with him? Was my desire to be with him so much that I would ask for or was my desire to be with Chris too much to ask for a sinful person such as myself? I opened my eyes at the sudden moment of silence. Chris was still praying next to me with his eyes closed. Our eyes met with Chris opened his, and he spoke shyly, mistakenly thinking that I had been staring at him. Huh? I shook my head silently and urged him to go outside. Let's get going. We were left with the fact that there would be nothing to do if we went back home, but it was too long to wait to not eat anything. We talked about eating out, but everyone had Christmas off, so nowhere was open. We walked for a while at the new district, but there wasn't any places to eat. We progressed into the old district, having given up, and decided that we had to search there. I saw the calzone stand that I recognized was open. Only the price was written on the wooden sign next to the stand, and on the sign on the top said, Marcos Calzones was written in big letters. I guess it must have been his name. Ah, what's that? Our chances of finding a place in the old district were slim, so I felt like this had to be it. I walked forward without waiting for a reply, and Chris got out to me, staring at the sign in annoyance. Okay, but it may be the first I've had them. Oh, me too. What'd you? When I think about it, I had spent my days off practicing, and I don't think I'd gone out with any friends in about 3 years. I didn't have as few friends as Chris, but I couldn't think of a friend that I could easily talk to, like Asuna was to him. I was always worried about him, and people realized that, so I was only able to have friends to a certain extent. Of course, I saw that as a good thing. So this is good. I'm glad he came here on a day like this. Everyone has a day off, so he probably does better business than you'd think. As we were talking, a number of people had already lined up, just as he predicted. It was lunchtime, so there were probably a lot of people with the same idea. Okay, let's have this. Yeah. The old man running the calzone stand was very friendly, which caused Chris to wither a little bit. He did give us a half-price discount, and he also liked the communal music school. Come to think of it, almost all the people were nice as students of the school. Sitting with Chris on the rim of the fountain as we ate the delicious calzone and gazed at the scenery, time went by in a flash. The glass canopy covering the piazza was shining beautifully, bathed in sunlight. That was really good, he spoke suddenly. Yeah, it was much better than I thought it would be. Still, it's hard to believe that was your first one. I thought you liked these. Hey, what kind of image do you have? Well, I mean, I may have a little before I came here. That's the exact image I have, like on our way home from the music school. You'd always be eating something behind Ari and I. You only remember that stuff. I shared it with everyone after. It was always your idea to buy it, though. Well, I guess I can't deny that. Not that you won't, but you can't. But from the way that old man talked, it looks as if he'd been working there for a long time. I never see him at night. Maybe he closes early. Yeah. So, you don't think you've overlooked it? Well, I know about this place, but... Huh? I've been busy since I came here, and I just never had the time. Uh-oh. I kept remembering things about the past. I realized a lot has happened. A lot of it was hard, but I didn't regret it. If Chris was right in front of me and would just smile a little, that would be okay. You've worked really hard. He said that suddenly. He wasn't supposed to know anything, but his words made me feel like he cared. It wasn't like I was being complimented, but I felt like that single phrase was my reward. I desperately held back the tears that had threatened to flow. I managed to hold them back, and it took just a little bit of time for it to return to normal. It seemed like Chris was worrying, though. No. By the time he anxiously said this, my tears had already dried and my voice was back to normal. Well, it's about time. Yeah, it's a little early, but it's better than being late. Exactly. On our way to the concert hall, I decided to throw away the calzone wrapper into the garbage. Hey, you two. Oh, yeah? When we came to their stand, the old man spoke to us. How were my famous calzones? Delicious. Yeah, really good. With no need for pretense, we both answered. I see, that's good. The old man said this cheerfully and pulled out an accordion. What's that? It's an accordion. Oh, well, of course I knew what it was. I'm kidding. There's still some time before the concert, so why don't we sing? This is the other thing my shop's famous for. The TV wanted to play, but... Oh, I don't think we have that much time. Really? There's still gotta be time. Well, I guess. We did have a fair amount of time, but we definitely couldn't be late. The tickets we had received were precious. If I left the talking to Chris, I didn't know how much time we would have to waste. I felt bad for the friendly old man, but it would be best for all of us to permanently decline. We're not in much of a hurry, but how about next time? I like your calzones. We'll be back for sure. I'm glad you like them. Well, I'll wait till next time then. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. The old man was a really good person and readily accepted what we said. All the same, we couldn't stay. Pretending to be in a hurry, we left the scene. I guess we had gotten several steps from there. I heard his quiet voice from behind me. When I turned around, Chris had stopped and was looking up at the canopy. Huh? No, it's just the rain today. I had relaxed because we were under the canopy, but Chris suddenly said that it couldn't be the rain. Luckily, the canopy had been built sturdily. Even if it actually rained, it still never leaked. I pointed to the canopy and the old man's shoulders shook with laughter. What about the rain? Oh, nothing. It just must have been my imagination. Did you feel the rain? I did. I quietly watched this exchange with bated breath. If he started to say something strange, I'd have to stop him. The City of Rain. Huh? City of Rain? Oh, no, I'm sorry, I was just talking to myself. It's called that sometimes, but what are we talking about? It's the City of Music now. Yeah. Maybe the pride of living in the city made him that way. He laughed heartily as he kept continuing playing the accordion. The old man looked up at the canopy, a sign that this place was once the City of Rain, and he laughed yet again. Is that okay while you're working? I play every day. Like I said, the shop's famous. It didn't look like there would be any more talk of rain. I finally relaxed and left. Alright, now we've really got to go though. Right. Ah, please come again. I was scared for a second, but I managed to evade. If he thought this way when I was around, I was really worried about what happened when Chris was alone. It was good that he didn't normally go out much, but the fact we made it to 3 years without being caught might have been nothing more than just pure luck. I remember that for sure. The long concert finished and we went outside together. That was long. Really? I felt like it was over in no time. The fantastic music enriched my heart. That was the truth. I shook my head, forcing myself at a daze from the excitement. But it was super good. Yeah, it was. But I wonder if this is the last time we'll come here. I wonder. If we're successful next time, we might be up on stage. That would be nice. You're talking like it's someone else's problem. Don't you want to be professional? I don't know. I think. But I thought you were naturally aiming for that, you know, coming to this school. Let's walk while we talk. Chris started walking to avoid answering right away. I thought that at first. Then he started talking sporadically. Becoming a professional? Yeah, but since I've been at school, my thinking, it's changed. So, what's your plan? We'll just Chris Blockwell out. It's kind of embarrassing, but I haven't thought of anything. That's ridiculous. I know, but I can't imagine it. Me becoming a pro and performing on stage or something. What do you want to do? I don't know that either. I'm just concerned with the graduation recital now. Can't you give me that? You'll finally think about that when it's over. That's the plan. Well, alright. Was he already remembering? If that was the case, he'd realize that the letters from Mary were strange. At the moment, I didn't think he would. Maybe he couldn't think about graduation because he hadn't decided. I felt like he somehow didn't want to graduate in the end. Are you going to move right into being a professional? It's a secret. What? I'll tell you about it when I decide, and you tell me when you've decided. That was the only way I answered. You could say that my future would begin once Chris properly faced Eri. Though, as the one putting it off, my saying this was a little silly. Anyway, I wasn't the kind of person who could say that about the other person. Even so, I had to care for Chris without worry about him and help him. That's mean. I don't mean to be. I was just trying to get you to think about it even a little bit. Am I that unreliable? Yeah, you're that unreliable. Hey! Well, if you still haven't decided when the time comes, I think I'll think with you. I want to help you however I can. Yeah, thanks. However I can. Really, if that's what he wanted. New Year's. The week after Natalie passed in an instant. During that time, I lost hope, was sad, and made decisions each day. I perfected my plan the day before yesterday. I just needed to know what Chris was going to do tomorrow. Regardless, I didn't think he would go out for any reason, so I wasn't very apprehensive. You're eating it before you leave today, right? Torta said that tomorrow was a day off. Grandma suddenly asked Chris. Huh? Yeah. The day before yesterday and before that, Chris refused to eat dinner. When Grandma was always asking, it must have been hard to keep refusing, and it seemed that he had finally broken. then I'd be delighted. I had told my grandma, but I realized that I hadn't talked to Chris yet. Chris looked at me as if to make sure, and I answered yeah to help him with a smile. At Chris's favorable reply, Grandma walked happily into the kitchen. I didn't think there was anything to help her yet, so I stayed in the living room and kept talking to Chris. We could take the day off tomorrow. Yeah. That being said, though, you don't plan on going out to the city? That's rude. Do you have plans, then? That would ruin the plans I'd made for Chris' secret. No. Huh? I don't, but I don't like the way you said that. I was surprised for an instant, but that was okay. So you're not going anywhere tomorrow? It's my day off, so I'm going to sleep in. I'd appreciate it if you didn't say you want to go somewhere. I won't ask. Well, it's fine that you'll be at home. Huh? What's fine? Nothing. I said there was no practice, but make sure you at least play your fortele at home. I suppose. Well, let's get a good rest tomorrow. Practice hard starting on the day after. Chris went home and I went back to my room. I urged him to stay home, but if he didn't have to plan or go out, I wouldn't have anything to worry about. In any event, Chris would still be sleeping when I got there, and just seeing him would be the highest priority. The bread I baked on Thursday was made with a yeast called panettone, so it would last for a while. Therefore, it wasn't necessary to put plenty of moisture into the dough. It just took a few days. For 2 weeks, it stayed just as soft as it were fresh baked bread, so he'd probably believe me if I told him I made it yesterday. I would bring it to Chris tomorrow, dressed like Airy as Airy. I like this background. Reminds me of the goddamn Christmas Charlie Brown movie. I'd already given up on Chris. Chris got further away from me each time a letter from Airy arrived. We were getting close, but we were already apart. It'd be fine if Chris didn't write that. He felt strange for Airy. I had thought it. I had actually written that it would be best if he partnered up with me, but I love my sister too. In the end, I couldn't write anything else suggesting that they would break up. That's why I was going to see him tomorrow, so he would like Airy more and continue to hold on to his feelings of her. And that would be my last memory. My last happy memory. When morning came, I tied my hair up and let it down over and over and over. I wasn't supposed to have doubts. I wouldn't go to meet him today as Torta. Definitely not. I decisively let down my hair and I composed myself. Sister, I'll be back. A pasted-on smile reflected in my own mirror. The time was right before 8. Into a bag, I put the letter I wrote the day before and the bread I wrapped. I hadn't written a letter to Chris on Thursday. I had given to it when I saw him today. I did it on purpose so I wouldn't lose my nerve. There was no reason to hesitate. Today was a day of parting. When I went downstairs, Grandma was already awake and drinking herbal tea. I hadn't told her about Chris. I told her the day before I was going out for something else. Hey, I'll be back. Torta? Have a nice day. Oh, sure. I was a little scared. I was scared that she'd somehow figure everything out. But I didn't think Grandma could see. I had heard that Grandma's eyes could see shadows but not see color. Not worrying about it, I ran out the door. I knocked for the 20th time? Umpteenth. Chris wasn't up. He was probably asleep. Yeah, just a minute. I heard Chris shout from inside and relax. Then I was kept waiting a while longer. He was probably changing. Sorry to keep you waiting? Good morning. He froze with a shocked expression. It was only natural. Thinking of what Ari would do, I made myself grin. I'm sorry, I came to see you because I like you. The script rose in my mind. It was like how I felt, and maybe it was truly how she felt too. I'm sure both of us felt the same. Huh? What's wrong? What's with that face? Ari? You haven't seen me for a year. Did you forget about me? Arietta. I came here. I wanted to see you. Really? What do you really mean? I'm sorry, what do you mean really? I wouldn't come here as a lie. Lie. A dry laugh rose. I wouldn't come for Christmas, so I overdid it a little. I have to work the day after tomorrow, so I'm going to have to go home tomorrow morning, though. Just come inside. Hey, you might be cold. Thanks. Chris took my bag and put it in the corner of the room. Then he started awkwardly but happily speaking. I'll get you something to drink. Have a seat. Sure. Sorry this was so sudden. No, I don't mind at all. Chris was bringing me the same cafe latte he had made for me on the morning prior. He came back right after he started the machine and sat down facing me. Did you take the day off? My work for the year was finished on the 31st, so I took the night train. The bakery opens on the 3rd, so I have to leave tomorrow. Ah, that's rough. I'm sorry it's so sudden. No, I'm just happy. Thank you. But you couldn't let me know because you were too busy, I guess. I wrote a letter to Sorta that I'd visit in the new year. Ah, Torta knew. In that case, you could have just written me a letter, but I wanted to surprise you. Is that so wrong? I was really surprised, but I don't think it's wrong. He said this murmuring. I told lies around the subject so everything would fit together, but I knew I shouldn't bring up the topic. To change the subject, I cheerfully gave him a New Year's greeting. Oh, Happy New Year. You too. Are you still surprised? I am. Sorry, this is a little late, but do you have any plans today? No, even if I did, you'd come first. Thank you. Enough sorries and thank yous. I'm just happy you're here. Oh. I heard water boiling and he hurried back. Those words should have made me happy. Ari's cheeks would always flush with happiness when he said that, and she would probably try to hide it though out of shyness. But I hung my head. I desperately tried to hold back emotions. I'm happy you're here, Arietta. He said that with such a great enough smile it made me want to cry. I had never seen that smile on myself. Are you hungry? Of course not. Chris's voice from the kitchen brought me back to myself, and I recovered. I ate some bread I brought on the train. When I gave this reply, he sat down again with 2 cups in his hands. Go ahead. Thanks. I can say thanks for this, right? Yeah. So it was a sleeper dog train? Did you sleep well? Yeah, I'm used to it. I have plenty of energy for the day. That being said, most of the shops are closed today. I'm fine just being with you. He blushed and looked embarrassed. I had to make a happy face. Arya would smile and blush just like he would. But this is really sudden. I was just thinking I couldn't see you on Christmas, and then your letter arrived. I couldn't wait anymore. I was always thinking about you too, Arietta. Right. That was written in the letter, and I remembered what I came to do. I wrote a simple letter to Torta. Oh, right. I got the letter and paper bag containing the bread out of my bag into the corner of the room. Take these. A letter? I wrote it at the station when I was waiting for the train. Don't read it yet, I'll be embarrassed. Just read it after I get home. I hurriedly stopped as he tried to open it. If he read it in front of me, I would just get sad. Chris probably would have hugged me with a happy face. I wanted to avoid that. Just a little while before, I thought I wanted to see Chris's face when he read the letter, but I couldn't even handle that. Okay. That, and I made bread. You haven't seen or had any since I started working at the bakery. I had it all the times before, though. It's been 3 years. It better taste better. Or it better taste better now. It will last for a while, so eat it whenever you like. It was sudden, so I couldn't bring much. Now this is pretty big. Even if I eat it in slices, it'll probably take me 3 days. But it'll be fine for a month if you don't put it in the refrigerator. That long? There's a yeast called Panettone. Bread lasts for a long time for you to use it. Bakery's famous. Wow, that's why it's famous. Pretty cool, huh? I haven't eaten, so I woke up. I'm gonna have some now. You just woke up. It's too early. You know me well. Your knocking woke me up. Now that I'm caught, can I take a shower? That's fine. I'll just rest here. Chris knew Ari well, knew that I wouldn't actually plan to rest, so I continued as I convinced to really put to the test. Thanks. Well, should think about what to do today. Sure. Oh, don't look at me. Just sit there. He said that while shyly unbuttoning his shirt. Chris entered the bathroom while I was facing away. I had nothing to do while he was in there, so I was looking around the room, and I saw a basket filled with laundry. Maybe he was so busy with practice he didn't have time to wash it. I thought he should have done laundry on Thursday, but remembered that he said the next day he had slept. I picked up the basket with determination. Ari would probably do that. Arietta was good at housework, laundry, cleaning. That was her identity. Just like I had singing, Arietta had those things. Now then, he must have been in a hurry as the things in front of the shower stall were the clothes he took off. Knowing he at least needed a towel, I got one out of the closet and put it on top of his clothes. I made sure I could hear the shower running and went outside. I had heard that there was washing machines in the common area at the hall. Since there was no space to hang the clothes on the roof, the dryers when this place was a city of rain were working, but old. However, I was sure that it would take time, so I'd put them in the dryer later. I grabbed the clothes from the basket. Among them were Chris's pajamas, which were warm. Chris's smell. When I touched them, I felt like Chris was next to me. I held him and looked around. I was worried that someone would see. She's for real sniffing his clothes. You're all out already. That was fast. When I came back, he looked angry as he dried his hair with the towel. Yeah. Listen, I thought you said you were tired, so you weren't going to do anything. Your laundry basket was full. Today was laundry day. It's fine. It's a common space if someone saw you, and if they did? I mean, no, right? I guess they wouldn't mind. You're weird. I know. Oh, but maybe rumors would start if they started mistaking me for Torta. People that don't know you two might make that mistake, but that means they wouldn't know Torta either, so it wouldn't be a problem. But if there was a girl they didn't know doing laundry in the common space, they'd probably be surprised. After all, this is an apartment for males only. So you haven't told anyone else about me? No, other than Atsuno. What about the other people here? Alright, I'm gonna take a little quick break, like less than a minute break. I'm just gonna go and get some water real quick. Refill my bottle because I am absolutely parched. So give me just a quick second here. I'm sorry, I know that obviously we are getting into the nitty-gritty now. We will return. Just give me a quick, minute. Alrighty, you guys. Sorry about that. I am back. Full cup of water now. Alright. It's not something you do or going around announcing. You're not that friendly with them, then. I said that getting cart to the matter, I guess. So your only friends are still Torter and Asino? That's right. But I don't mind it like that. I suppose not. Anyway, are you really not tired? I'm fine. Do you want to go out for a bit? Yeah, let's go to the church or something. Yeah, for Mass. You know, they might be holding it today. We don't have to be formal, I just want to stop by. Okay. So why don't we eat that bread before we leave? The laundry should be finished by then, so we can just put it in the dryer and then go out. Alright, I'll eat a little then. I sat facing Chris and just watched him enjoy the bread. Aren't you cold? I am a little, but I'm good. The rain. It's pretty weak today. Chris said this while looking up at the cloudless sky. It seemed the rain in his mind was weak. His face even looked refreshed. Wow, it really does always rain. Yeah. What's it like? What's it like? I felt like it was disorienting at first, but I got used to it. When it's light rain, I even forget that it is raining. That's strange. I guess. He replied like that with a cheerful face. It reminded me of how he said the rain was light last year and the year before. Maybe the amount of... Here we go. The explanation for the bar. The amount of rain changed with how he felt. He must have been feeling well today. Are you going to practice today? Oh, practice the graduation recital? Yeah. Torta's not here, and practicing alone wouldn't accomplish much. I don't really think I'm going to practice today. Why? I was thinking I'd like to hear you play. Also, I've heard that if you don't practice for 1 day, you lose 3 days of practice. I had to get him to practice. I'm sure Torta said that, but do you want to hear? Do you want me to call Torta over? Can you not do it alone? Well, that's not it. Glad to hear. Let's just spend today, the two of us. Alright. Yeah. I was getting better and better at lying. Then I put on a fake smile and I nodded. There's not many people at this time, just like I thought. The parents with their children I saw at the entrance were inside, but the building was so large I almost didn't notice them. There was no choir today, and the priest was standing out in front, not giving blessings. All the people praying had their eyes closed in a quiet and somber air. Alright, we should pray while we're here. That's why I came here. Right. Well, you did just come on Christmas. Saying this, I closed my eyes just like everyone else. Unlike Chris, I now had a lot to play for. Counting the time since Christmas, it had only been 3 days. Or 7 days. How many lies had I told since then? How many things have I done selfishly? I wasn't asking a God I didn't believe in to forgive me. I just wanted someone, anyone would be fine, to listen to what I had to say. When I opened my eyes, Chris was still praying with his eyes closed next to me. While I was wondering what he was thinking about, his cheeks started to flush with unnatural happiness. I watched him curiously, and when Chris opened his eyes, he asked me a question, sounding ashamed. What's wrong? I should ask what's wrong with you. You're supposed to be praying, but you look happy. I do? You were smiling. That would probably be the best way to put it. Hearing that, he looked troubled yet again. Trying to imagine what he was thinking would be hard for me, so I stopped. Well, let's get going. We bought calzones in the piazza from the old man on Natale, talked together, and went back to his apartment. It was just a little after 12:30. I'm back. He said this to the empty room. He always said it to the empty room. I continued after him. Excuse me. Just a minute. Saying this, he went to the room to get a towel. Even though he said the rain wasn't strong, it seemed his hair was good and wet. Here you are. I took the towel and imitated Chris by wiping my hair and my body. You want me to play the Fortelli? Yeah, the song. I want to hear the one you're playing at the graduation recital. I could play whatever you want. I want to hear the song you and Torta are going to perform. How would Chris perform in front of Ari? If he was better than normal, I thought it would make me sad, but I wanted to hear. I had heard that the Fortelli was a mirror that reflects the heart. I heard that in class, that emotion, the basis for magical power, became the sound for Fortelli. The professor was fond of chatting and explained that this wasn't written in the textbook, so I still today don't know if it's true. But when I heard Chris Fortelli, I could be certain it was. But it's a song meant for vocals. You can't play? No, I can, but it might not be good. He was silent for a bit, but then looked worried. Right. Huh? Nothing. You know, whenever there's like that little tick, it means that Forney was saying something. That's weird. You guys might hear it next time. Had he answered his own question? He looked at me in the eyes and spoke. Sorry. What's wrong? Nothing. Maybe Chris was thinking about someone else. If he was apologizing for that, does that mean he had to apologize to Ari for someone that wasn't even here? No. That incredibly stupid idea ran through my head, but it wasn't possible. It was my own thinking. I was here today to put an end to that. Now the song. You really want to hear the one for the graduation recital? I don't mind if you don't want to. I said that wasn't it. The parts where Torta sings, the melody line might be lacking, though. I don't care. Do you want to sing them? Listen. I'm kidding. Hey, I don't like it when you write me off. Then, you want to try and practice? You might get pretty good if we spend today on it.
You know best I won't. But it's been 3 years, right? Haven't you practiced? There is a piano that you have. You're teasing me now. I'm sorry, You just... I was thinking that maybe you could sing now. Would Chris be surprised if I told him I could? Would he just accept me now? That I wasn't two different people, just a single one? Ah, too bad. I'm busy at the bakery, so I haven't done anything. You don't plan to. People would just laugh. I wouldn't laugh. You did laugh when we were kids. That was a long time ago. But I don't want to. I'm fine just listening. I thought you'd say that. You like to listen. As for singing, Torta does that instead of me. Instead. I'll make dinner, so you play. Okay, I'll start with a different song. You want to hear more than one song anyway, right? Well, yeah. The song brought back memories. It was a song that Arietta knew. It was the first song we learned at the music school that we had attended together. I was brought deeper into the nostalgia, but he was playing the song for Arietta. That made me feel a little annoyed, and I wanted to say something even lightly offensive, even though it was obvious he'd play it since Ari asked him to. Isn't this the easiest song you know? It just popped into my head. I mean, I need to play a lot of songs, right? Watching his face as he answered like it couldn't be helped, but like he was enjoying it, I really wanted to tease him. But it was the last time, so I was sure I'd be forgiven for being a little selfish. Until I make dinner. I don't only practice new songs, so forgive me for playing the songs that came to mind. Hey, that's fine. Thanks. Easy songs will be best, so I'll try remembering them. Does that mean you only want to play easy songs, then? At first. There's still a lot of time to come. Yeah, let's hope so. Alright then. That's about it. Chris said this while rolling his shoulders and looking at the clock. I felt like it was good that he played for Ari. It was such a nostalgic, enjoyable time. So much so that worrying seemed like a waste. Good work. I'm tired. He took a lot of breaks, but he did look particularly tired. But I still hadn't heard the song I asked for. But you're not done yet. I guess I have to. You don't have to, but I believe you will. Yeah, I plan to, so this will be the last song. Okay. He took out the sheet music and put it on the music stand. I felt like his eyes wavered as I watched. Maybe he saw the words I had written and thought it was rude to Arietta. Chris suddenly started playing without looking at me in the eyes. He didn't have to sync his breath with anyone, so it was fine. In fact, if Chris had looked at me in the eyes while he was singing, I may have actually started singing. As I was wondering if that was for the best, I was overwhelmed by the singular sound of the fortelli. As I listened, my worries dissipated, and at the same time, I wanted to start singing again. The sound unleashed by Chris's fortelli worked its way into the gaps of my heart, increasing my own sadness. Quite a bit of effort was required of my part to hold on to the emotions that made me want to cover my ears and just scream. I forced my consciousness away from the music. Lowered my eyes from Chris as he faced the fortelli, and I closed them. Still, the music continued. I pretended like I was watching from far away. I was hearing it from another person. My mind finally calmed down, and at the same time, my intense emotions ebbed like a tide, and the music announced its end. Chris faced me like he wanted to hear my opinion. I managed to break the silence by clapping. How was it? You need to ask? You look happy. I was hoping to hear your opinion, not mine. I'm sure you know that too. I guess, but you've never said my music was bad. That's because even if you're not good at singing, you've heard a lot of music, right? I want to hear what you think. Even from that perspective, it was good. Really. But I couldn't tell him that I was moved. Thanks. You compliment me like that a lot, but that made me the happiest. Idiot. His genuine happiness made it feel like he was saying it to me. I stood up to go to the kitchen in order to hide the sadness that rose. Alright, I'm gonna get it ready soon. What ingredients do you have? I went shopping, so I think I'll have anything you need. Show me. Inside the refrigerator, most of the ingredients I need were there. Other than making bread, I had learned a lot of other recipes directly from Grandma. Chris had even eaten the parmigiana that I'd made, and he still thought it was Grandma's. Looks like you have eggplant and meat, parmigiana, I guess. It's a specialty I learned from Grandma. The dishes I was good at had increased, but this one was still I was the one that I was most confident in. Oh, nice. But I had the one Ina made recently, so I'll be a harsh critic. It's okay, cooking is my job. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Can I help? Nope, you sit and wait, Chris. If you're bored, why don't you practice? Right, I am tired. Okay then, practice, I'll cook. I stood in the kitchen and listened to the sound of the fortelli behind me. It seemed Chris was practicing very seriously. I felt relieved at that and I started cooking. Chris was playing that song again. The song he was familiar with. The first and last song I ever wrote for him. I set the forks and the knives on the table and gave myself to the music. I carried the large plate of Parmigiana carefully and called out when he was done. Okay, it's hot, be careful. Yeah, torta. Huh? Nothing. My hands went limp and I could feel all the blood drain from my entire body. It wasn't fear that I'd gotten caught. It was joy. Gotten caught. If I had to say it, it was the correct emotion. Joy. It was happiness and the relief that I wouldn't need to lie anymore. He called me my real name. He understood. Tortanita. That was me. That was my real name. I heard you singing and I just made a mistake. He explained in an unsteady voice and I knew right away he didn't notice. I'm sorry, but I was unable to contain my emotions that momentarily overflowed. I'm going home today. Both my hands and my voice were shaky. I wanted to shout out the truth. I wanted him to hear the truth. But that was a dream that wouldn't come true. I wanted him to say my name. I wanted him to hold me. That too was also an illusion. Wait. I wrote Torta in a letter that I'd spend the night at Grandma's house. It's okay. It's not what I meant. Parmigiana's gonna get cold anyway. Even at times like this, the lies came without hesitation. Wait. Chris grabbed my arm as I was going away. He was a delicate boy, but he was unexpectedly strong and I wasn't able to move. No, before that I lost my will to move, once I saw his eyes. Chris looked up quietly. They were frightening. They were frightened. My mind went blank. Yeah, this is, the alternate route, you can see just, like, how much her perspective is just, like, she has, this is just insane, man. I have nothing else to say to it, but you could tell definitely how much she loves him. Chris' eyes moved, silently looking at my cheeks, and I realized that I was crying too. It wasn't sadness, it wasn't also the joy. I was confused by the real meaning of Chris mistaking the name, and about how excited I was when he called my real name. I'm sorry. He apologized and relaxed his grip. Yeah, I nodded and relaxed. I used that chance to pull my arm away. I realized that I regretted that only after we were apart. If he had hugged me, I would have resisted. If he had called out my name, I probably would have told him everything. That was just a fairy tale. That time had passed. All that remained was regret and hopelessness. I'm just gonna go home. I couldn't be there. I wasn't staying the night in the first place. I could walk you. I'm fine. You're not fine. It seemed Chris wasn't budging. Alright. Give me this reply. I went out to the city at night. He walked slightly behind me. It seemed he couldn't walk next to me. His gaze on my back hurt more than I thought. Our places had switched, but did he feel the same way? He probably didn't notice that much. Chris seemed really happy when he was with Arietta. So much so that nothing else could distract him. You're going home tomorrow, right? I'll walk you to the station. He was silent then, but suddenly spoke. I turned to answer, but I couldn't give him the answer he wanted. Giving my emotions under control by tomorrow, there's no way it wouldn't be impossible. But, I'll be fine tomorrow. I want to see you off, though. I had a stupid hope again. Maybe he did too. Even if he didn't know everything, he would call my name. Maybe he had feelings not for Arietta, but for me. I knew better than anyone that was a sweet and stupid idea, but I wanted to hold on to it. I gave Chris one suggestion in front of my house. 10. Huh? That's when the train leaves. I had to decide before tomorrow morning. Meet him as Ari and forgive everything, or meet him as Torta and tell him that the real Ari didn't forgive him. Okay, I'll see you off tomorrow. The last thing I heard were those words from Chris. The weather outside was annoyingly nice. Fresh air flowed into the window. It should have been a comfortable day, but I still didn't have the answer. I still needed time to think, but it was already time for me to go. I was dressed normally today with my hair up. I was totally ready to meet him as Torta. On the other hand, I couldn't go as Ari dressed like the way I was. I didn't want to look in the mirror that morning. I only felt terrible that I would be reflected. Arietta's clothes on the hanger to avoid wrinkles silently asserted their presence. Chris usually arrived at the last minute, but he'd probably come around 30 minutes early. Maybe he'd even come earlier than that. Even so, I had little time. I had more than enough to let my hair down and change clothes. I was wavering, but all I could think about was when Chris would come. I didn't even have time to change. I prepared that excuse in my heart. Or maybe I would. The moment I thought that I saw Chris outside the window, I had no more time. The moment I thought that, it made me happy. I had to go out like I was. It had been decided. But that was the result of Chris wanting more to talk to Ari. If he didn't care about that, he would have come later. I was going to see Chris, but I couldn't look in the mirror. I heard him knock and I ran down the stairs. He was already awake, but it would be bad if Chris asked about Ari to Grandma. Grandma, I'll get the door. Oh, good morning. It's probably Chris. Yeah, just give me a minute. With those words, I hurriedly opened the door. At the same time, I didn't forget to wear a sad expression on my face. Regardless, it didn't take effort. Chris's face was exactly what I expected. He hadn't slept the night before. I did my best to have a gloomy voice. Morning. Good morning. Eri? The lie I had thought of yesterday. It was like I knew this would happen. She left already. Why? The train came at 9. I'll tell you what she said. She started crying as she saw you, so wait till the next letter so you can talk calmly. I had already decided what I'd write in the next letter. I wanted to test Chris. Letter? Oh. He says like he remembered something and then made a regretful face. I wondered what he'd write. Chris, did you talk to Eri? A little. Let's not practice today. That would help. Hey, she's not mad or anything. Why? She said she wanted time. That, at least, was true. Right. I'm here if you want to talk. I was surprised at myself for being able to even say that, but it was true. He was seriously worrying, and I wanted to honestly help him. That's why I instantly told the new lie. Thanks, but... Chris's face was clouded. I created some time to cheer myself up. We don't have time to take today off. We can only do so much anyway. Don't act tough with that. If you can't give it your all to practice, it'll be useless to practice. I don't think that'll change even if we take time off. I was the only one who wanted time off, but was saying that I couldn't refuse. Then, let's start practicing again tomorrow? Okay. Chris, what? See you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Saying that, he left. I couldn't watch him leave. For the next 2 days, almost nothing at all happened, and I was able to dedicate practice time. The saving grace about practice is that when I was doing it, I was able to forget about everything else in the world. Today was the first day of practice at school for the year. I went into the practice room early in the morning and was slightly worried and waited for Chris. Then he arrived early. Morning. Morning. Yesterday and the day before, our rehearsals went pleasantly with no problems. He seemed to be in good spirits and not down. I thought he may have just been putting on a brave face, but considering how he has been, it really seemed like he had gotten over something. My guess was that he left everything in Arietta's hands. I suppose I would know tomorrow when his letter would arrive to me. I had an idea in mind, but it was going to take a lot of bravery and I wasn't ready for that right now. Tomorrow was the deadline for declaring our recital partners, but I was still unsure. But right now wasn't the time for that. Just like Chris, I was pretending to be happy and cheerful as the days went by. It's pretty crowded, huh? What'd you expect? It's okay. Huh? I came here early and saved us a room. Saying this, I gestured to the door of one of the practice rooms. You did? You're well prepared. Well, I have to be. A certain someone will go unnamed, right? That is most certainly true. You could try denying that you weren't prepared. No, I can't. Oh, well. Even if it was only on the surface, this kind of cheerfulness was necessary. Then, this is a bit careless. Upon entering the practice room, it was the first thing he said. But most people won't try to use the room if they see a bag sitting here. Perhaps it's because there were many students with good upbringings, but I had never heard of cases of theft. It didn't change the fact that I was careless, but I had made a point of choosing when and where I would do something. You've got a point, though. I would choose a different room, though. Exactly, and besides, I was here first. The room happened to be empty, and since I had arrived, I didn't feel guilt. That was one of the reasons why I came so early. What time did you get here? 9, on the dot, I think. I did voice warm-ups and that kind of stuff. Vocal cords take a lot longer to warm up than instruments do. I always are about 30 minutes. I should have expected no less. What about you? I'd already finished everything and I needed to prepare. All that was left was for Chris to finish getting set up. I'm just about ready over here. Perhaps he was slightly influenced by my reactions, but Chris had been setting up well as we spoke and was ready to play at any time. I was pleased, but I also felt like I shouldn't praise him too much, so I decided on starting rehearsing. Well, shall we just go through it once for now? The moment I said that, someone knocked. Huh? Chris peered through, and it was the name I had not been expecting. Oh, this is the day they have the talk. Good morning. Good morning. I know it's early, but I'm glad. We have Tordanita to thank? Yeah. Oh, Cordell, good morning. What brings you here? Good morning. I thought I'd drop by and see the faces of my students to know how they're doing now that the holiday's over. I can understand wanting to see our faces, but how we're doing? I thought I'd watch you perform again. What do you say? Oh, please do. Yeah, if you don't mind, we'd appreciate that. That's the spirit. 1:30 usual class. Sure. Well, carry with your usual practice. Just like she always did, Morse Cordell started her business concisely and left. She helped us out with so many things. I didn't want her to show her a poor performance. Well done, I guess we have to make an effort to practice extra hard now. I focused myself more upon saying this and Chris nodded. Okay, want to get going? Huh? Oh, it's exactly 1. I was still a little early, but I didn't want to be late. We got up and started to make a move so we wouldn't have to get stressed. I felt the same last time too. It's nerve-wracking in front of her, huh? He seemed nerve-wracked as he said this. If you get so nervous just over this, what are you going to do when you actually perform on stage? You're supposed to be a guy, but you're so sensitive. More sensitive than you are. What are you trying to say? That right there is what I mean. If I was as sensitive as you are, I wouldn't be able to cope. Cope with what? All kinds of things. I felt like I'd become a bit more pushy than I used to be. If I hadn't, I don't think I'd be able to deal with Chris or Asino, but I also had the feeling I'd be able to become weaker too. I felt like I'd gotten hurt over the smallest thing and that I cried more easily now. Miss Cordell said she had something to do, and for the 5 minutes that she was gone, we read through our scores and we waited. She returned. Sorry to keep you waiting. It seems like you're both ready. When would you like to start? Oh, okay. Very well. Begin. Alright. It was incredibly sudden, but it wasn't as if we weren't prepared. I switched mindsets immediately and turned to face him. The overture of the Fortelli resounded, and in that moment I was able to sing and forget about everything else. That was quite good. Seeming pleased, she showed a quiet smile. I had been told that she rarely gave out praise, but it felt like she was praising us now a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you. The two of us thanked her and we waited for what she had to say. However, no, there wasn't any problems in particular. There was a strange pause in the middle when she spoke, but I knew that she was being honest. However, it seemed that there was something bothering her. Knowing Miss Cordell's personality, I doubted that she would tell us which it was, however. As long as that's the case, be sure just to continue on. Yeah, sure. I had planned to keep rehearsing after this, but when we were turning up to pack up, she called to me. Before you leave, there's something I want to talk to you about. Could you stay behind? Yeah. He turned around and answered immediately, so for a moment I thought I had misunderstood. But Miss Cordell was looking straight at me as she continued. Not you, toward Anita. Oh, yeah. What you want to talk to me about? It's concerning vocals. You can leave, Chris. Oh, I'll just excuse myself then. She said it was about the vocal course, but nothing really came to mind. The deadline for declaring our partners was today, but we already took care of that in the morning. For the time being, I needed to hear what Miss Cordell wanted to talk about, so I decided to have Chris head back first, while I stayed behind. Alright, then go back first. We can meet at the same practice room if it's still available. Do you think this talk should take long? 5 minutes. Thank you. Chris, could you wait in the practice room? I don't want someone else to take our room. Got it. I'll be going then. Sure. I'm genuinely here all day, so come by any time. Thank you. Okay, I'll see you soon. Sure. Saying this, Chris headed out, leaving me with Miss Cordell. What is it about the vocal course? I wasn't sure why, but I felt like she may have been lying. Perhaps it would have been more accurate to say that she was making an excuse to have Chris leave. I lied. Yeah, I had a feeling. I suppose you could see through that kind of thing. You could be very sharp. I don't think that's true, but why'd you have to lie? There's something I wanted to ask you about. Did something happen to Chris? No. You have an idea, don't you? You're sharp, too. That comes with age. You're still a child even if you try to act like you're not. No different to him. And besides, I could tell something is wrong by hearing the way he plays. And you're trying to hide it, so I suppose you're part of the reason. I suppose you'd be correct. Don't feel like talking today, huh? But there are some things that get better when you talk about them. Just talk, if you'd like. It's not something I should speak to other people about. I don't know if you understand. Well, that's fine then. Shall we continue? Continue? What we talked about was private. Next I'm going to speak about something official. What is your opinion of the way Chris has been playing the Fortelli? Recently? It's hard to say. His ups and downs have always been intense, but especially so in recent days. Do you have your idea why? Well, yeah. Alright. Changing topics. What do you think is the appeal of the way he plays this Fortelli? The appeal? I think it's the particular, how should I put it? Essence? There is a difference between each player, and the way that Chris sounds different is what makes it sound special. Exactly. Do you know where that difference comes from? I'm not sure. I don't study it. I am a voice student. When I was a student, there was a Fortelli player in my year level who had an interesting theory about this. He believed magic was an emotion. He's now a teacher at this school, teaching Fortelli theory, I believe. Perhaps you've heard this before? You would have learned this in the first or second year, even if you are in the vocal course. I believe that. He loves to chat. I'm sure he would have spoken about it at some point. To tell the truth, I think it has merit. I feel intense emotions are what brings out the sound of the Fortelli. What was she saying? I still didn't understand, but she was not the type of person to bring up something like this without reason, so she may be concerned about it only as Chris as me as well. It would have been rude just to say she was being serious, but she wasn't speaking in her usual emotionless way. So now I ask you this. What is the greatest emotion that Chris has? Where does the magic of his music lie? Do I have to answer? I'm deeply concerned, and I think you are too. His emotion is sadness. Huh? His greatest emotion is sadness. Exactly. After hearing him play again and again, it's hard not to notice it. That's deep sadness. Why do you bring this up? Did you notice that when you and Chris partnered up, he changed how he played? Well, yeah. I couldn't remember when, but I had thought that at some point. But this conversation was jumping all over the place and I couldn't keep up. Before Christmas, he played for me one more time. I think that was the time when he played it sounded the most cheerful. And today, it seemed as if he had played and reverted to how it was before. By how it was before, to the dark, sad way he's always played. That's because there's something bothering him, I imagined. But wait a moment. If sadness is what makes his music good, then the happier he becomes, the more the more magic will begin to fade. To tell the truth, I had felt this about 2 weeks ago when I heard him play before Christmas. Did you not feel his magic fading? No. I see. I guess you were busy yourself then. Well, that can't be helped. Either way, the more happiness he feels, the less he could feel in his music. And now, today, the way he plays reverted to how it was. As his teacher, I can't help but ask you. Had I not noticed? That could have been true. I was happy myself. I was stupidly happy because I was able to partner with him, which was natural. But, what are you trying to say? That he shouldn't be happy? That he has to stay the way he is? Is his future something that's yours to decide? Is that going to be what's best for him? Calm down, calm down. It's not what I meant. It's true that one of the reasons Chris' skill with Fortelli is valued high is because of his emotion, sadness. Although there are many musicians who would dislike it, so it can't be said if it's something that appears to everyone. However, I for one believe that if he's happy, then it's for the best. Even as if a result, if he was happy, he wouldn't be able to make it as a musician? It was a contradiction. I suppose it was true that the reason why Chris had made it so far was because of the magic that he had been playing possessed. But the thought of it being no good if he felt happiness was... Jumping to conclusions like that is why you're still a child. I thought you were a bit more mature for your age, but now I can see what Asano meant. He said something? He said that when it came to Chris, you become so frantic that it's kinda cute. But don't worry, you're not of Asano's type. That idiot. Don't be like that. Despite what you may think, he worries about you. He may not seem like it, but he's good-natured at heart. He's petty, even more so than he thinks. That's an interesting opinion, of course. I think there's more to him than that. We're not talking about Asano, though, so don't jump to conclusions. About Chris's future? Why don't I tell you the story from the past? Another one? Why do you always have to beat around the bush? Because you won't tell me what's going on, and yet you're seeking help. And I think I can help you. That's why we're talking about this kind of thing, because you're not honest with yourself. Was you being angry if I said I didn't want to hear your past story? Of course not. But you don't want to hear about me and my once broken heart? I'm sorry? I'm sure Chris would enjoy this story. What are you on about? Not interested? I've never told anyone this. I won't mind the least if you don't want to tell others. Very well, I'll take that as a yes. I was young. You're really going to tell me? It didn't make sense. Why was I here listening to her? At the time, I was a far worse Fortelli student. Worse than you are now. You're a teacher, though. That's not what I meant. I have technical abilities. That's all I have. The reason why I never became a musician, I have no magic. Which is why I became a teacher. I have no regrets, and besides, technical ability is the one thing I have. I am suited to teaching and I enjoy it. Can I continue my story? Yeah. Long story short, I did not have talent. I did have someone I loved, though, from the bottom of my heart. His name, it doesn't matter. I loved him, but he did not love me. I tried to make it work, but I failed. And that night, I played the Fortelli with my eyes crying out. And upon doing so, everyone heard the sound of my Fortelli that night. They showered me with praise. The sadness of a broken heart gave emotion to my music, and I made it into something special that night. By that, you mean. However, the next day I was over it. And the way I played music had reverted to how it was. Sadness is never forever. It only feels like forever at the time it's taking place. However, when you're in the middle of something like this, you can't really reflect. But when something at the bigger picture, it's just something to laugh about in the past. For me, the bigger picture is right now. The funny part comes up next. Ignoring me, she continued to speak in her indifferent tone. I think it was the day after that. He came to me and said that he loved me, and that he was sorry for not being honest about how he felt. I was in a state of bliss. And then the way you played lost its appeal? In the blissful state I was in, I again received wonderful praise. I guess they believed something was different. My music now flowed with happiness. However, there isn't even a trace of that now. I never had a particularly intense range of emotions, so unless something really big happened, there was never much change in the way my music ever sounded. There is something special in the kind of music that is found through happiness. Even if it meant for Chris he would lose the thing that currently gives appeal, he would find something new? Yep. You would be able to create something new. It's impossible for me to make him happy. I wonder if it was Grave Cesarini was the person that she liked. You don't need to. However, you need to think long and hard about what you think is impossible and why you feel that way. It's just impossible. Very well. In the end, it's you who decides. I will speak no more of it. Let me say one last final thing. I think that you may be able to make Chris change in a way that's for the best. Thank you. I gained confidence from those words. Miss Cordell knew nothing of my sister, the illusions that I created. It was so hard to tell a sense of reality in her words because of this. I don't know anything, not about Chris or the problems you're facing, but that means there are some things I can see objectively. She spoke as she read my mind. How could you tell that? A lot of things become apparent when you're older. Thank you for saying that. It was just little by little, but I began to feel cheerful. Miss Cordell said that I could do it, that I could change. I now felt that I could listen to what she was saying with positive attitude. That's the rest of the story. What happened with the guy? He was being whimsical. He changed his mind after that and everything ended. And I think at one point we were engaged. It's gotta be Grave, right? Isn't it Grave? It was over 20 years ago. 20 years ago? How old was she? How old are you? Tordanita, you know how rude it is to ask a lady her age. Is it really? Is it Grave? I'm still in my 20s. All that happened when I was around 5, I think. He was a childhood friend that I was in love. Apparently I said I was going to marry him. You're finally smiling. Good. I am, aren't I? You know, I think I'd actually prefer if you didn't tell Chris about this or Asano either. You're a lot more interesting than I thought. Oh, I'm sorry. How rude of me. No, it's quite true that I'm not an overly interesting person, although I don't think I'm a particularly gloomy person either. That's true, but why is it that you told me all of this? Because I'm fond of Chris, you, and Asano. I don't think I deserve that. Qualifications or reasons are not needed for one to like. If I decide I like someone, I like someone. In any case, come see me whenever you need. Thank you. I see you're learning the right thing to say now. Well, I should be going. Chris is probably starting to worry. Thank you again for telling me everything. I bowed deeply and left the room. Thanks for waiting. Looking at the clock, I realized about 30 minutes had passed. Welcome back. Well, we don't have any time to waste. Let's start practice. I couldn't tell Chris about what we had discussed, so I thought I would be pushy. Wow, that ended up taking a while, huh? I guess so. It got complicated. You look like you had a good time, though, all things considered. Anyway, practice time. I wasn't faking it, or being able to forget the words that she showed me anytime soon, or the unexpected side of herself that she showed me that day. You may be able to make Chris change in a way that's for the best. I wholeheartedly felt I wanted to believe her. Okay, I guess we'll stop here for today. Sure, good job. I really wanted to practice until later, and I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. I'm really glad we can get some rest. You know, I'm trying to think about something, okay? Let's go ahead and say that it is Grave that she's talking about. To which she says that Grave teaches a lesson on music theory in the Fortelli, right? I'm gonna be spitting like some insane tinfoil hat, right? Put on the tinfoil hat. But remember in the Falsita route when she sees Grave, she says, "I hate him and I hate his daughter. I've taken classes under him, blah 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 blah." What if, okay, now what if, just hear me out, Falsita took his class, realized about the whole thing with like, you know, whatever the main emotion is that the person's feeling amplifies the sound of the music, blah 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 blah. And therefore, upon playing with Chris so much, realized that he played better whenever he was depressed. And that's why the night before the big graduation, she reveals herself as the 700 IQ mastermind that she was. What if it was for him to play better the following day? Knowing, of course, that he would be depressed because his best friend was a scumbag, and I guess that some would say that she was too. I could be completely wrong, but just a theory. You really mean that, don't you? Of course, I can feel the fatigue weighing me down. You're not tired at all? Do you even need to ask? Don't put me in the same boat as you. Well, aren't you confident? But don't push yourself too much, okay? I never thought I'd hear that from you. I'm actually being pretty serious, but I can see now I might have worried for nothing. Huh? It's nothing. Let's get moving. Ah, whatever, I guess. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, see you tomorrow. I checked the post box, but Chris' letter hadn't arrived. Normally, it wouldn't arrive within an hour. I needed time to think, so I went to my room for the time being. The idea I had in mind was to test Chris, and what after Cordell said, I decided to go through with it. Regardless of what was written in his letter, I was going to write something to him. It was going to be something like this. Please tell me how you feel about Torta. Of course, the letter would contain other words too, but the most important part would be that. If he had said he had feelings for me, I would probably give everything for him. I would tell him about Ari after the graduation recital and be a rock for him to lean on. Whether he desired it or not, I would do everything I could, only wishing for his happiness. And if he still felt that Ari was the most important part to him, I suppose I would steel myself and console him as Arietta. I would be gentle until the last moment so he could still love Ari when he returned to her. After that, I didn't even know. But by then, I would no longer be my problem. I had no choice but to leave everything in their hands. More to the point, Chris' hands. Either way, I could no longer be with them. I couldn't watch Chris be at Arietta's side. I've had more than enough time. I could tell because of the never-ending rain, but that damage to his heart had not healed. But even then, Chris had spent the past 3 years thinking about Arietta. I would be okay. I was well aware that things were on its way out, but I would probably end up with no choice. Lazing about on my bed, I procrastinated just for a short time. Chris's letter was exactly what I expected, words of apology and intention to leave everything up to Arietta. I suppose it was very much like him to write that. And so I wrote words that would test him in the way I'd imagined. Let me ask you one thing. How do you feel about Torta? No other words are necessary. Nor about your feeling with me. I just want to know. All that was left now, his response. And no matter what kind of response he gave, I would have no regrets. In any case, I had to practice today, so it would be the best recital ever. Before going home, I let my worn body slump against the wall. Despite the fact I only practiced until lunchtime, it seemed that my fatigue was starting to build up. This had never happened before. I was probably just mentally tired too. I didn't have any memories that I only shared with Chris. Of course, I had endless memories together from when we were children, but they were all ones that included her. There was only one memory I had, and it was a bit of a scenery, the ceiling of the music room. That was going to be my final chance. I was going to make the best recital ever, our best memory ever. Even if Chris was to choose Arietta, I could still be happy. I know I can. So today, I'll forget about everything, at least until the letter arrives. I'll focus on practice and make the recital the best one it could be. I'll think about everything else later. Right now, I didn't mind if that was running. Alright, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Tomorrow we'll be back and we're going to finish up. I went for a run today and I feel still kind of exhausted still, so I will be back tomorrow though. We'll finish up everything. I think we'll be able to finish up the game too. So the ride continues tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining in, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow. I hope you have enjoyed, and we'll see where this dumpster fire is going to take us. Have a nice night, and I will see you all tomorrow.